A goal should scare you a little and excite you a lot. Joe Vitale said that once. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Moving Forward Leadership Podcast, episode 61. Ditch the smart goals for power goals. Well, I said it, and here I am. I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. It's Scott McCarthy, and I am stoked to be back behind the microphone talking to you again. And for those who have absolutely no idea what the heck I'm talking about, welcome to the Moving Forward Leadership Podcast. I am just back from basically a 4-ish month hiatus after the birth of our second son, Benjamin. So Ben's doing fine. He's growing like a weed. And now finally feel a little bit able to breathe to the point where I can start allocating some evening time back to the podcast, back to website, the Facebook group, and of course my coaching. So welcome back to the Moving Forward Leadership. Not even the podcast, but Moving Forward Leadership, the whole thing. If this is your first time listening to me and listening to what I got to say, you've come across a podcast which is revolved around one thing and one thing only. And that is making you a better leader. That's what I'm here for, folks. I'm here to help you become better leaders. And there are days like today where I break out my own experience and talk about my own thoughts. And there are other days where I go out and find world-class, world-leading experts in various subjects and extract their knowledge for your benefit and for my benefit as well. So before we dive into today's episode and talking about my whole power goal process around goal setting, first I want to give a shout out to our show sponsor, Penji. If you don't know Penji is a graphic design company, and well, they do many more things around that whole genre of service. But the neat thing about Penji is that you sign up for one monthly fee, and it's basically all you can eat for just $350 per month. And these guys are great, led by Jonathan Grzybowski, who was a former guest of the show. And he's more of a guest. I would even call him a buddy of mine now. We keep in touch fairly regularly. And the best thing about it is, yes, they're a startup, but guess what? They're definitely here for the long run. Under Jonathan's leadership and vision, they're getting all kinds of accolades in the whole startup world and startup community, locally and nationally. So well done to Jonathan and his team. But if you go to penji.co, penji.co, and you sign up for their monthly service, Jonathan is gracious enough to give you 10% off if you use the code MFL10. And that is MFL as in Moving Forward Leadership. So the initials and the number 10 for 10% off. That's going to save you $35 a month, which is nothing to shake a stick at, right? So swing by Penji, check them out. If you look at the web art for Moving Forward Leadership, all the updated ones, that was developed by the guys over at Penji, the guys and gals over at Penji. Awesome crew over there. So on that note, let's talk about goals and goal setting. Here we are. I'm recording this, basically the second week of January, 2019. So what happened basically 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago, maybe a month ago or so, millions, if not billions of people around the world were doing this one thing, saying New Year's resolutions, right? And all a New Year's resolution is a new goal, something that they're going to do. Somehow they're going to make themselves better, do something better, make their life better. All they're doing is setting a goal. But you know what the crazy thing about those resolutions or goals is? The crazy thing is, within the next couple of weeks, most of the people, their goals are going to start fading away. They're going to start failing. And then before you know it, it's going to be catastrophic failure to the point where they're just not following through on their goals anymore. And beyond that, beyond just the fact that most people are going to start failing within the next couple of weeks, only 8% of people who set New Year's resolutions or new goals for the year are going to achieve those goals by the end of the year, or keep actually working towards attaining those goals. Because maybe they set such a big goal that they can't really attain it in 1 year. So why? Why only 8% of people who set these new goals attain them? And there could be a million different reasons, a million different factors out there, and everybody's situation is different, 100%. But I guarantee you, one thing which boils down for most of the people out there is planning. People just don't plan to achieve their goals like they should. And that's the whole crux around power goals. But before we dive into power goals, I want to talk about SMART goals. Because a lot of people out there use the SMART goals. And, SMART goals have their place. Don't get me wrong. I don't think SMART goals are necessarily the worst thing in the world. Heck, they're definitely better than nothing, right? But there are some serious limitations to SMART goals. Now, if you're not familiar with what a SMART goal is a goal which is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-driven. So, specific, i.e., you want to do this very specific thing. And let's take the number one goal, which comes around this time of year every year, and that's people's health. And more specific than that is people's weight. So, in the context of a SMART goal, you have to say, I want to lose 20 pounds, for example. And that flows into the next part of being measurable. You can measure your weight. You get on a scale, it spits out a number. You get on a scale next week, it spits out a different number. There you go. You can measure the delta between those 2 days. And, there's 50 million apps out there that'll even track it automatically for you this day and age. Heck, I got a scale that does that for me. The next thing is attainable. Can you truly obtain this goal? Maybe you don't have 20 pounds to lose. Or maybe you do, right? Maybe you set a goal to lose 100 pounds, but you only weigh 180 pounds. If you lost 100 pounds and you're 5'10", for example, attainable to lose 100 pounds, you'd be down to 80 pounds. Probably not really attainable and not really healthy neither. So you got to realize, is it actually the goal obtainable? Then is it relevant? Is it relevant to what you're trying to achieve? If you're trying to bulk up and add muscle, well, losing weight is actually counterproductive to that, believe it or not. Losing fat is definitely is for it, but actually losing weight, i.e. pounds or kilos on the scale, is actually counterproductive. As odd as that may sound. And that's definitely a conversation for another day with another podcaster. Go out and listen to some fitness podcasts for that stuff. And then finally, time driven. Set a time limit to the goal when you want to achieve the goal. Now, I said they're good, but my problem with SMART goals is they don't allow for those non-specific, non-measurable goals, which in my mind are irrelevant. Do hold weight. Maybe your goal is you want to be happier. Maybe your goal is you want to strengthen your relationship with your significant other. Maybe your goal is you want a better work-life balance. How do you measure those things, right? They're specific, but not so specific to the point of their direct actions towards that goal. How do you go out? You can't use a SMART goal. And in fact, those goals which I said, wanting better relationship with your significant other, you want to be happier, you want a better work-life balance, to me, those are the most important goals out there in the first place. You should be happy. You should have a strong relationship with your significant other at home. You should have a great work-life balance. Right? Those are the most important goals out there. Yet, someone who follows the SMART goal process would say they're not valid goals. And that's my problem there, folks. So, in thinking about that, because I've had these types of goals, I've had times when I wanted to be more happy. I wanted a stronger relationship with my wife. I wanted to have a better work-life balance. But I had to find a way, a process, a method to follow. And that's where power goals came from. So, what are power goals? Prepare, observe, weekly plan, execute, and reflect weekly. Okay, I'll say those again. Prepare, observe, weekly plan, execute, and reflect weekly. And I'll basically take that whole example of losing weight right through as I explain each one of those steps in the process. But what I want you to know is this is not just a way of setting goals. This is a process to set the goals. This is not a way, attributes that or criteria a goal should have, but rather a full process of how you develop your goal and how you execute your goal to achievement. So it goes beyond what SMART goals are. And in fact, I would actually encourage you, where applicable, to go ahead and use SMART goals within my power goals, because you're just doubling down. You're making it even better. So let's dive into these, each individual one. Let's talk about prepare. Too many people dive into their goals headfirst without adequate preparation. Jump in. They actually don't think about what it is they truly want to achieve, why it is they want to achieve it. A lot of people, they're just go, I need to lose weight. So, you know what? This is the year I lose my love handles. And that's it. That's their preparation. This step of the process should actually take a significant portion of time, because it's setting the foundation of your goal and ultimately how you're going to achieve it. So actually sit there and go, right, I want to lose weight. And there's nothing wrong with saying, I want to lose weight. And there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, of not saying, I want to lose 20 pounds or 30 pounds. Because maybe you don't know how much you can actually lose. Maybe you actually don't have 20 pounds to lose. Or maybe you have 30 or 40 pounds to lose. But if you're not educated enough to the point of actually setting that bar at that specific number, then you're actually starting yourself off for failure right off the hop. But you can come back later and go ahead and reestablish that bar after a couple more steps. So preparation, what it is you really want to achieve. And then next part is why. Why do you want to achieve that? And when you're trying to think of your why in goal setting, try to make it as personal as possible. Maybe for losing weight, maybe if I had that goal, okay, I want to lose 20 odd pounds this year. Why? Well, you know what? My why is so that I can be able to play with not my children, but my grandchildren should they come around. And I'm only currently 35 years old. So that's a pretty powerful statement, right? I'm thinking 30 odd years in the future right now, because my boys are 3.5 and 4 months old. I certainly hope I'm not thinking about 15 years in the future or so, but potentially 30 odd years in the future. So that's pretty powerful. And also just that whole vision of playing with my grandchildren, like I see my father and my wife's father play with our boys when they visit, right? So it's powerful. It's personal. It hits me deep. I am now much more likely to achieve that goal if I keep this why, this vision of me, in the back of my mind. Preparation, folks. The next step is to observe. And what you're trying to do in your observation is figure out how you're going to achieve your goal. Because if you had the ability, if you had the resources, if you had the knowledge, if you had the tools, you wouldn't be here planning this goal, because you would have already achieved it. You're listening to this podcast because you want to make yourself better, right? You are. I'm making this podcast because I want to make myself better. So you know what? You're already a driven individual. So there's no doubt in my mind that if you had the tools, you had the resources, you had the knowledge for whatever goal out there that you want to achieve, you would have already achieved it. So you need to go out and observe. You need to go find those people who have achieved the goal that you want to achieve and see what the heck they're doing. Look at their habits, their routines, their actions, their attitudes. Everything revolving around that goal that you want to achieve. So for the case of that whole wanting to lose weight, you go and you check and you talk to people who are at that fitness level that you want to be at. Like, what's your strategy? What's your plan? What works for you? And take your notes. You go out there, read the blogs, read the 50 million news articles. Maybe you want to follow some influencers on Instagram or Facebook, whatever. Okay. Shout out the former guest and coach Josiah Novak. Follow him if you actually have that goal of wanting to lose weight. But the moral of the story is you have to go out and get these resources. And then from there, what you're going to do from your observations is start thinking about actions. What supporting actions you want for your goal. And these are really where you can go ahead and use the whole SMART criteria. In the example of whole losing weight thing, maybe your actions, your supporting actions are exercising an hour 3 times a week, inputting food consumption into an app like MyFitnessPal, allowing yourself a cheat meal per week so you don't go crazy and actually helps you to keep on track, right? These are all supporting actions that are going to bring yourself closer, work you towards your goal of getting in better shape, getting healthier, or losing X number of pounds. Now, I recommend, 3 supporting actions per goal when you have a large goal like that. Maybe your goal is to read 50 books this year. Well, your supporting action is read an hour a day. That's basically it. But for larger goals, you definitely want multiple supporting actions because some days, something may slip. Maybe one day, your food consumption, you don't put it in MyFitnessPal. But you did work out, and you do have a plan for allowing yourself that cheat meal. So these actions, when one slips away, think as the other 2 as supporting buddies, which will help you still move forward towards your goal. Got it? Observation. Next part, weekly planning. You need to plan when you're going to do your actions. And I mean to the point of scheduling it right in your calendar. So with every single supporting action, when are you going to do it? And this is where a lot of people hiccup. They go, okay, I'm going to work out 3 times this week. I'm going to do this and that, and that's it. But they actually don't really plan it. They just say what they're going to do, and they go about their week as normal. I'm going to work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to have my cheat meal Saturday, and every day after every meal, I'm going to make sure I open up. I'm going to set reminders for MyFitnessPal on my phone, and then that way I'll input all my food. This is weekly planning. My workouts will be at 0600 every morning, and my cheat meal will be supper. You know now exactly where you're going to do every little action. So you want to sit there and look at your schedule, look at your calendar. You're going to have to take in multiple considerations here, right? You have to take in your personal calendar, your family calendar, your work schedule, and where are these actions going to fit in with all those juggling of priorities? And that's something you have to take care of yourself because everybody's life's different, right? I actually can't tell you. For me personally right now, working out in the morning is the best. Before, if you talk to me, 7 months ago or so, I used to do it during lunchtime. So I shift things around. Life changes, right? So you have to sit there and do this weekly planning. Look at your week and pick a day. Try to keep it the same day every single week. Because if you don't, then you're not going to get into that habit and routine of planning your week, right? Now, keep in mind, you also do need a plan B for your scheduling because what happens if, you plan on having your weekly planning, let's say Sunday evening after dinner, but some random Sunday you get invited out to dinner with some friends and you end up staying out later. So you need a backup plan. When are you going to do that? Sooner, I would argue, is better than later, but maybe you decide to do it Monday morning. That's fine. That's cool as long as it works for you. Or maybe you'll decide to do it Sunday morning, earlier. Whatever. Just don't make the gap between your usual time frame when you plan and your plan B, your backup time, too large. Because then either too much time has passed if it's too far after your normal time that you haven't planned for, or it's too early that you can't take everything that in consideration, and things may pop up that you're unaware of at the time. But the moral story is plan weekly, do it the exact same time every week, and plan every single supporting action and put it in your calendar. The next part is execute. Sounds simple, right? Just head out and do what you said you're going to do, and that's it. Well, actually, no. And execution actually has more to do with when you don't do what you said you're going to do than when you actually do it. Doing something that we said we're going to do is easy. And you're like, heck no, it's hard. Bear with me. Especially when we come into goals around this time of year. People are normally excited. They're ambitious. They're motivated. They're ready to roll. That's why so many people run out of the gate in January. But then when February comes around, things start dying off. Because all those motivating factors start wearing off. The newness starts wearing off. Things start popping up, gnawing away their time to achieve their goals. And ultimately, those supporting actions, which are in the back of someone's mind, well, they're starting to get gnawed away. They're starting to fail. And once the supporting actions start to fail, then the motivation starts to die. And then someone says, you know what, shag it. It's not working. It's not for me. Pick an excuse in the book and quit. And that's why we start seeing a huge drop already in February. Because after 3-4 weeks of doing something new, it starts getting hard for those reasons. So execution's actually about how do you keep going? And the first thing is don't beat yourself up when you slip up. We all make mistakes. I make them daily. Right? I didn't put my food into MyFitnessPal today. Forgot about it. Just didn't happen. And by the time that I realized, you know what, I hadn't do it today, I went, okay, you know what, I'm going to say shag it today, but tomorrow, I'm definitely going to be doing it tomorrow. And guess what? I will. Right? Because that is actually a goal of mine. I want to get a little bit better shape, so one of the core things is tracking what you eat. Because calories out should be greater than calories in. Pretty simple. So the first thing is don't beat yourself up. But the second thing is, and the best thing about, and this is where the last step, the previous step comes into effect, is you need to make sure you have the flexibility to shift your schedule around as required. And this is why I told you when you plan it weekly, you do your weekly planning, you input in your calendar. Because one, you properly make sure that you have the time for it. But two is when you don't realize that you don't have the time, you can shift things around so that you do it. So maybe your workout on Wednesday morning, maybe a business project pops up, or you're up late Tuesday night because one of your kids got sick and you get 3 hours worth of sleep. You go to bed at 3 a.m., your workout's at 6. You're like, heck no, because I won't be able to function at work. Fine. That's totally fine. But what you need to do then is realize, right, I missed that supporting action. When can I make it up? How can I shift things around? Because if you don't, then these slip-ups can easily compound themselves. So maybe don't do the Wednesday. And then maybe you say, you know what, shag it. I'm not going to put my food in MyFitnessPal today. I just don't feel like it. And then you're down on yourself. So what do? You go out and you decide you're going to hit McDonald's for lunch. And you you hit the Big Mac, supersize the fries, get the regular Coke, extra large size. And then all of a sudden you brought in 8,000 calories in one day. You didn't log it. You didn't work out. And then it starts rolling because, well, you actually just had a cheat meal, but your cheat meal is scheduled with your wife Saturday night. So guess what? Now you're going to have 2 cheat meals this week. See how quickly those things can compound? And they're same for any goal, really. Just right now, the fitness thing is in my mind, so I'm using it, and it's the most common one, but you can use any example for any type of goal. But the moral of the story is, when you execute and you have an issue that pops up, you need to reschedule how you're going to achieve the supporting action that you missed. Get back in line as quick as possible so that you don't have compounding failures to the point of catastrophic fail. Okay? And then the final step in Power Goal is review. Pick a time every week, preferably actually when you do your weekly planning, and review the previous week. Reflect on it. What went well? What supporting actions didn't you achieve? Why didn't you achieve them? Okay. So maybe you couldn't reschedule your, maybe, you do your weekly planning Fridays, and something, that whole Tuesday night, Wednesday morning scenario popped up Thursday night, Friday morning. You couldn't get your workout in. Then how do you go about mitigating these problems so that you can achieve 100% on your action list, your supporting action list? Okay. So maybe you realize, maybe I should do my workouts Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That way if something pops up, give it a shot. If something pops up, then I got 2 other days. Or, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I don't feel like doing workouts on my entire weekend. So maybe Saturday, Monday, Tuesday. Then it gives me a bit more flexibility, right? Because the front end of the week is loaded up. Or maybe it's a timing, a scheduling thing. Whatever. Look at the problem. Analyze it just like you do at your job as a leader. And try to figure out a way to mitigate it so that you can hit 100% on those supporting actions. Review it and apply, and then you turn around and you start the process all over again. Well, that's it, folks. Remember, power goals. It's not just a goal, but a full process on achieving the goal. From the preparations to observation, weekly planning, execution, and review. With this process, you will now have the tools. Well, not all of them, but you will have a solid foundation on how you're going to go out and achieve those goals that you got. So, ladies and gentlemen, go and crush them. And until next time, keep pushing, keep trying, keep moving forward. Take care now.